How to win more games in PUBG Mobile, Part 2. Actual gameplay. Welcome guys, today I will be showing you how to win games through actual gameplay. This is the second video in a group of 3, so make sure to check the first video. This video is divided into steps and situations that arise in the game, so follow along for best experience. 1. Drop location. Your drop locations have a direct correspondence to your chance of winning games. Hot drops increase death chances, so it is better to avoid hot drops in my opinion. Instead, drop in areas near hot drops. This will give you enough time to loot and prevent lag and FPS drops that arise when you hot drop. Those with a potato device should just avoid hot drops. However, if you want to hot drop, make sure you meet the following conditions. 1. You have a well-off device that doesn't lag occasionally. 2. You have above-average skills and good reflexes. 3. You have a well-organized team that can communicate and coordinate attacks and retreats. Drop speed should also be considered by analyzing plane path and making necessary judgment on when to land. Fast landing creates opportunity to loot and ambush enemy players. Strategic locations and coordinated gameplay in hot drops help you get more kills and win games. Using Midstein as an example. You land at the edges from where you push inwards in a given direction. As you push, make sure to clear enemies in your path, as this will prevent attacks from behind. To survive hot drops, your aim tracing, hip fire, movements and reflexes should be top-notch, because enemies can pop up from anywhere. Also, high-quality headphones are a must to survive hot drops. Generally, minimizing loses during early game ensures your team is strong enough to contend for the win. 2. Early game loot. The loot you get is completely up to chance, although the classic map you use and drop location are a deciding factor. Regardless of location, the most essential loot earlier on are assault rifles and SMGs. These allows you to initiate fights with enemy players. This is actually in best case scenarios where enemies don't have loot yet. In case enemies also get loot, it is better to have automatic guns, because they are easier to use. Also, make sure you have medical equipment and at least a level 1 vest and helmet. This increases your defense as you engage enemies, reducing death chances. The loot you get is basically dependent on your luck, so make sure you are versatile and can use most of the guns and melee weapons comfortably. To do this, head to the training ground and use every gun you come across to increase your familiarity with them. 3. Strategies and tactical planning. Great strategies ensure that you win games. Knowing where you will move to from drop location will serve you well. For example, in Livik map, when you land in Gronus, you can first attack the recall center, from which you will move to Crabgrass and so on. Making sure you have vehicles with you whenever you are, is a very important tip that gets ignored. Although vehicles give away your position to enemies, they also serve as cover in open grounds, allow you to flank enemies, and help you to get to the zone in time. For you tactics to work, you need to have a well-organized team with clearly defined roles. For example, the squad leader calls the shots and gives instructions. This is usually the most experienced player in the team. You also have Gunslinger who engages enemies in close combat. This player rarely loses close combat fights and is mostly the ace of the team. There is also the Sniper, the player who takes out enemies from a distance. There is also the Medic, the Driver and the Grenadier, just to mention a few. Tactics for rushing enemies should be employed. For example, unidirectional flanking, where 3 players engage enemies from the distance and 1 flanks from either the right or left direction. There's also multidirectional flanking, where 2 players engage enemies at range and 2 players flank from both directions. Finally, there is the commonly used full squad rush, where the whole squad rushes together. It is mostly characterized by intense gunfights as well as tactical equipment usage. GameSense also serves to improve your winning chances. This is where you take hints from the observations you make, and plan your course of action accordingly. For example, open doors, broken windows, and vehicles parked out of position hint to enemy presence. This should prompt you to stay alert in case of enemy confrontation. 4. Gun combinations. The guns you use play a key role in improving your chances of winning matches. With right combination, you can easily win games and drop enemies. Your skill set mostly determines the best guns for you. For example, if you are unlucky enough to have a potato device as well as terrible aiming, it is better you stay away from some guns. Stay away from Uzi, UMP45 and shotguns. This is because you will exhaust the mag without knocking enemies, giving them time to counter. This will cost you in many 1 versus 1 combat situations. The best close-range gun for players with potato device like myself is the AKM. The AKM packs a heavy punch, dealing very high damage. It also has reasonable fire rate, which gives you more time to connect your shots. For long range, you can use M416, DP28 or SCAR-L in that order. The SCAR has greater horizontal recoil and calls for better recoil control. 4. Intermediate players, any gun combinations will work, with others outshining the rest obviously. Just to highlight that, it is way better to keep off short guns in this stage. Because any missed shot with a shotgun will cost you some time as you reload, this will be enough to allow enemies to knock you. For pro players with very good aiming and aim tracking, guns with high fire rate will do. For example, the Uzi can be very deadly if used by a pro player. Shotguns such as DBS and S12K will also help. In case you use sniper rifles, make sure your close-range skills are top-notch. This is because you won't have the option of switching mid-combat. 5. Essential loot. The loot you and your teammates have play a role in whether you win a game or not. A good example is when you are caught in the last circle with only bandages, you are most likely going to get knocked out. Make sure you have the essentials before any gunfights. This includes ammo, med kits, smoke grenades, as well as grenades. Also, the grade of armor you have influences your win rate. With level 3 helmet and vest, you can sustain more damage before getting knocked, greatly increasing odds of winning in 1 versus 1 situations. Another tip is to constantly boost your speed by using energy drinks and pills. They actually come in handy during close-range fights by heightening your reflexes and movements. 6. Cover. The best way to win in intense situations is to make use of cover. Many pros get out of intense situations by maximizing cover. When confronted by enemies in the open, use the terrain to your advantage. From boulders and trees to dunes. When using cover, your peek and fire skills will be tested. So make sure to improve it in the training ground. In case you are completely open, make sure you use smoke grenades to cover your advance towards physical covers such as trees and boulders.
Awesome.
7. Gunfights. The most obvious determinant for winning games is gunfights. Basically, the number of fights you survive will determine if you get the chicken dinner. Having enough game sense to know which fights to take and which ones to avoid will help you win more games. For example, in cases where you are a full squad and encounter 1 or 2 players, it is better you take the fight and get those kills. If you find 2 teams engaged in combat, be the third party and wipe out both of them. But, if you play solo and don't have good skills yet, don't recklessly rush a full squad. Instead, lure them out one at a time and break their coordination before finishing them off. In close-range fights, make sure your mag is full and you have max HP to increase winning chances. Don't forget to use the right gun combinations for your skill set. In mid-range fights, you need very clear tactical organizations, with use of grenades and smoke grenades as well as cover. Here, peeking skills and quick reflexes will help you win games. Also take note of your surroundings to avoid being flanked. In long-range fights, make sure to knock and dust players who don't have cover. This will decrease enemies' confidence and boost your squad morale. Likewise, taking out the enemy sniper should be your first priority, because they are dangerous and can take down a whole squad from range. If you use a potato device or are a non-gyroscope player, I advise using a sniper rifle in long-range fights. This enables you to get kills from a distance without posing danger to yourself.
I need attachment.
8. Last circle. It usually starts when the zone is very small and there are only 3 teams left. This is the most crucial yet unpredictable part of the game. First, make sure you move with the zone, this protects you from attacks from behind. Next, watch out for campers or snakes, or better still, be one yourself. Also, have a lot of smoke grenades to provide cover if enemies find your location. It can also be used to throw off enemies and confusing them on your exact location. Luck and positioning play a key role in the last circle.
Watch out.
Even pro players get knocked at this point in the game. In case a snake catches you off guard, don't rage and lose your cool. Instead, be a snake in the next game. Jokes aside, getting to the last circle and making it to the top 3 is in itself a great achievement. Just make sure you don't lose to snakes every day. All in all, by applying this tactics, you will start winning more games at best, and start getting better in PUBG at worst. I will address individual aspects mentioned in this videos in the future. Look forward to the 3rd and final video in this playlist. Now enjoy my bot gameplay in Ace Lobby.
Awesome. Awesome. Help! Awesome. 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 We're the best.